Hey guys, this is Callum from EnglishShooting, and I wanted to use this week's video to cover a few important points that I think need to be sort of addressed, spoken about and be put out there. The first one is a bit of clarity around the video that I made and released last week with John going over his safe and his current collection. I put out an invitation for people to contact me if they wanted their collections to be shown on the channel and sort of put out there and have a dedicated video. And although that invite was received very well and the video as a whole was received incredibly well, was incredibly popular, there were some, I think, very valid comments made about firearm security and the potential risks of sharing your collection online. Now, what I want to clarify straight away is I would never invite people onto the channel. I would never invite you guys to do something if I thought in any way it would compromise your safety or security. However, I think it is necessary for and it's mandatory for firearms owners and shooters in the UK to follow sort of basic guidelines and take basic precautions about the information that they put online. I don't think there's anything wrong at all in sharing your guns, sharing your collection, sharing your shooting. I actively encourage it. I do it myself. And I've spoken to my FEOs, I've spoken to police officers, and they don't have any particular problem with you sharing this sort of information. I think they would probably prefer you not to. In some cases, it's better to be safe than sorry. But the way they look at it is, well, we've approved your safe, we've approved your alarm system, we've approved the location of the guns, you know, where you're storing them. So why would we have any other concerns about you posting a picture of your gun? When they're going to have concerns, and when I would have concerns for people's sort of safety and security, is when you're posting too much information on Facebook. Information that could be pieced together to identify where you live or the roundabout area of where you live. Also, even information about where you are on a regular basis. Is if you're posting in groups that you are at a particular gun club every single week at the same sort of time, that builds up a very good picture for potential attackers to know where you're going to be and how to potentially exploit that information. Even things like posting pictures of your cars on your driveway on Facebook could be a bad idea. Even just the front of your house could be enough for criminals to identify where you are. Obviously, I don't think I need to mention it, but posting pictures of your safes in general is not a good idea, or anything that's going to show what security arrangements you have in place. Those should only be known by yourself. And the moment that you start sharing that information, it makes it very easy for potential attackers, potential criminals, to know exactly how they're going to target you, how they're going to bypass the alarm, how they're going to get into that particular safe. So please don't feel worried about posting pictures online. And again, that invitation is out there. If you want a video made on your firearms and your collections, please let me know. And your safety, security is paramount to me, and I would do absolutely everything within my power and make you 100% happy with the situation of what information is shown in that video and how the video is conducted. But I don't think there's any reason, as long as you take basic precautions, you're smart about it, and you're aware of these potential issues and you're aware of potentially making yourself a target, I don't think that's reason enough to actually not post any pictures. At the end of the day, there's many people that post pictures of their £100,000 cars on Facebook on their driveway in front of their house. And criminals love high speed, high-end, expensive cars as much as they do guns. And actually, when you look at it, more people are killed through stolen cars than they are killed with just guns in general in the UK. So if you're going to take the attitude of not posting your guns, then take the attitude don't post anything on Facebook. And I think there's always, just like everything, there's a balance. And as long as you're safe, as long as you're sensible, you're not going to have an issue. Yes, shooters are being targeted. Yes, there have been some horrific attacks. Take George Digweed last year, for example. But these are exceedingly rare. And as long as you take all the necessary precautions, the chances of you being targeted for your guns are just the same as you being mugged down the street. it could happen, anything could happen. But I think the risks are so small, it shouldn't prevent you from promoting this sport and getting what you're up to out there online. So I think that's the first point and the most important point that I wanted to clarify. I think it was important to get out there. The second point, I'm not going to go into too much detail because Sam from SRSPower has done a very good video covering all the ins and outs and actually makes some very good points, and I'm going to link that video in the description below. And this is about the current club fee increases. Now, a while back there was obviously the license fee increases, which I actually defended because we have a hard enough time as it is with being shooters and owning guns, and sort of being stubborn and revolting over a inline inflation increase. I think that would make us look even worse, maybe a little bit petty. I know that a lot of people do hold the view that we shouldn't have to pay for these licenses anyway, but you have to pay for your driving license, you have to pay for your passport, you have to pay for prescriptions, so why should firearms licensing be any different? And I think us paying our way actually puts us in a much better position to say, look, we do pay for this, we are paying our way, we're not a cost to the taxpayer. However, the fee increase from, I think it's about £48 up to over £1,000, I think £1,015, it's obviously causing a little bit of sort of outcry and uproar from the shooting community. This isn't going to affect the big clubs because the big clubs have enough money to soak it up. It's not going to really make a difference to them. What this is going to do is have quite a significant impact on the small clubs, and it's the small new up and coming clubs that are attracting the new members. They're attracting the new blood into this sport and therefore are incredibly vital for the existence of this sport and the continuation of this sport. So to suddenly have a fee increase from £50 to £1,000, that's going to hit some clubs incredibly hard. And when you have a club with 20 to say 40 members, that sort of ballpark, this is going to take money away from their facilities. It's going to take money away from promoting the club, taking money away from getting new members into the club. You know, most of the clubs that I've joined for the newbie day will supply ammunition to new shooters free of charge, and most of the clubs don't charge the new shooters a single penny on their first shoot. Well, if they've got this additional £1,000 to spend every year, that's going to eat into something. So it may not seem like a big deal because I'm sure many of the people that are members of big clubs are going to go, well, £1,000, we probably spend more on that on targets each year. But for the smaller clubs, you know, take KFC for example, 2 years ago they didn't exist. And actually to start up a club with that initial £1,000 hit, that makes it a lot harder and is going to maybe close clubs or prevent new clubs from opening. But go and check Sam from SRSPower's video, makes some great points there and he goes into a lot more detail. The third point, again, a little bit of doom and gloom from Basque, is the fact that it's become a postcode lottery for licensing within the UK. Now this is something that I've talked about many times on the channel and I've shared this view quite a lot. The best example for you guys is Hampshire and Surrey. Now you guys will know that my licensing department is Hampshire Firearms department, and I obviously have a lot of friends and spend a lot of time in Surrey, so I know a lot about the Surrey Firearms licensing department. Now in Hampshire the average waiting time I think is around 6 months. I've heard people waiting 12 months, I've heard people waiting 4 months, but it's averaging around the 6-month mark for an initial application. Surrey can do an initial application in anywhere between 2 and 4 weeks, and they're next to each other. And I think this is the question that Basque is asking, is why? It's the same process, it's the same procedures, they both have to follow the same book, so why can one do it in 2 to 4 weeks but the others can do it in 6 months? Now I do have a reasonable amount of sympathy and I would prefer the licensing process to take 6 months if it is being done properly. Because you know, firearms licensing is an incredibly serious matter. As a shooter and as a citizen of the UK, I wouldn't want any corners to be cut, I wouldn't want any shortcuts to be taken. And if the Home Office looked up and said, no, we need firearms licensing to take 6 months apiece because that's what we think is sufficient to do the checks that we need to. If that's what they think is the required amount of time, take that required amount of time. I think what the question a lot of shooters are asking is that if I lived 5 miles that way, it's going to take me 4 weeks, but because I live here, it's going to take 6 months. And it's incredibly frustrating if nothing else. Now, one of the caveats that I put on defending the license fee increase was that we were going to get this new super duper online automated renewal variation system, and that's what the increase was down the line going to pay for. Well, it's been quite a while since that increase and I haven't yet seen any new super duper online system, and it's now sort of, we're a suspicious bunch, us shooters anyway, and we don't need much of a reason to start getting out our pitchforks going, oh, the government's got it in for us, and I don't think that's going on. But when you look at it, a fee increase based on this new system, and we haven't got the new system, and now they've increased the club fee by 20-fold, and the waiting times across the country and the disparity across the country on waiting times is just getting worse and worse and worse. You can't help shooters from getting, at the very least, frustrated and even suspicious that this is in some way against us. Again, this isn't a view I hold myself. I just think it's just what's going on in the current climate. Everybody's pushed against it, budgets are being cut, slashes are having to be made, and firearms licensing isn't immune from that. It's it's still the police force, it's still civil service, and they're still susceptible to these sorts of things. I think what Bask and certainly myself would like to see is some acknowledgement about this. If they were to come out and go, look, these are the issues, we know these are the issues, and this is what we're doing to sort it, that would be great. At the moment, all they seem to be doing is increasing the waiting times and increasing the fees, which obviously, understandably, a lot of shooters aren't too happy about. So there you go, guys. 2 very important points that I think you guys should be aware of, and a bit of clarification, which I think is also quite important. Again, check out Sam from SRSPower's video. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope it was useful for you guys. Let me know what you think about the points in this video in the comment section below. And as always, I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope to see you soon.